Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling something that I think a lot of folks probably have some misconceptions about, and that's alcohol detox.
Yeah, it's a topic that can be really tough to fully grasp.
Definitely. And we want to make sure we're getting you the right info. So, for this deep dive, we're pulling from Rehab Near Me, a site that's all about connecting people with addiction treatment. And don't worry, this isn't about pushing any specific program. We're all about giving you the rundown, the down low, not a sales pitch, right?
Yeah, no pressure here, just facts. We want to bring it down simply and help you understand this crucial first step.
Right. So one thing that always kind of tripped me up was, like, is detox the same as rehab? I feel like people use them interchangeably, but I'm guessing they're not.
They're totally different stages. Okay, imagine this. Detox. That's like jumping out of a burning building, you need to do it now to get out of danger. Rehab. That's like after you're safe, learning how to fireproof your life, so you don't end up in that situation again.
Whoa, okay, that analogy is powerful. So detox is that immediate, got to get out of the trouble step
Yeah.
of physically getting alcohol out of your system, right?
Absolutely. And that's where it gets serious because this website, rehabnear.me, they don't mess around. They talk about the very real dangers of trying to detox at home.
Yeah, they actually use the word deadly, which honestly, that's kind of scary
Hmm.
because I think a lot of us picture detox as just a really, really bad hangover,
Yeah.
but it's way more than that.
Oh, way more. We're talking about a condition called delirium tremens, DTs for short. This can happen during withdrawal, and it's life-threatening.
Oh, right, DTs. Isn't that what you see in movies sometimes? Where people are like hallucinating and stuff.
Movies tend to exaggerate it, of course. But DTs are serious. It's basically your nervous system going haywire because it's so used to the alcohol being there. And it's not just like a headache and the shakes. Think seizures, hallucinations. And even with medical help, the fatality rate is 1 to 5%.
Oh, wow, okay. No, that's definitely not something to mess around with. So when they say don't try this at home, they mean it.
100%. Medically supervised detox. It's not about being comfy, it's about staying alive. You need trained professionals to watch for those symptoms, give you meds if needed. It can be the difference between life or death.
So we're talking potentially life-saving medical supervision here. And this is all before you even get to the deeper work of rehab, the whole fireproofing your life thing.
Right. Detox gets you physically stable. Then you can tackle the mental and emotional parts of addiction.
Okay, so understanding that difference is huge. But I got to ask, if someone's listening and they're like, yikes, home detox is a no-go, what then? How do you even begin to find a safe program? It seems overwhelming.
You're so right. It can be really overwhelming, especially when you're already going through a lot. There are a lot of things to think about, and you want to find the right fit for you, not just any program.
I can only imagine how overwhelming it must be to actually be in that position, needing to find a program. Where do you even start?
It really highlights how crucial good information is, right? And it's funny, Rehab Near Me, they point out how easy it is to get stuck on the logistics first, location, cost, all that.
Right, of course, those are biggies.
Totally. But they shouldn't be the only things you're thinking about.
Okay, so it's not just about finding the cheapest detox place closest to your house.
Exactly. It's way more personal than that. It's got to be the right fit for your specific situation. Kind of like, I don't know, finding the right therapist. The right approach for you is key.
Makes sense. So if location and cost aren't the only things, what are the real questions people should be asking when they're checking out detox programs? Rehab Near Me have this whole list, but I gotta say, some of it went right over my head.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a whole new language sometimes. One biggie is the level of care you'll need. Like, are we talking mild withdrawal that you can kind of handle at home, or is it more serious, where you need medical supervision 24/7?
So that's the whole inpatient versus outpatient thing, right?
Yep. Inpatient, think of it like, I don't know, a super safe haven. You're in a facility. They're watching you constantly. Meds are right there if you need them. Very structured. Usually for folks with a history of really bad withdrawal, medical conditions, or maybe they don't have a stable home life to do this safely.
And outpatient, that's more, you're at home, but checking in with doctors.
Yeah, you got it. More flexibility. You go to a clinic or your doctor's office for appointments, medication, counseling, all that. Good if your withdrawal symptoms aren't as severe. You've got support at home, need that flexibility in your life.
But that probably takes a lot of self-discipline, huh?
Big time. You got to be committed to going to those appointments, following the program, even without someone watching you 24/7.
And I bet cost is a factor here, too.
Yeah.
Inpatient's got to be way pricier.
It usually is, yeah, because you're paying for that round-the-clock care, the facility, all of it. But UT, and this is important, Rehab Near. Me says insurance often covers at least some, if not all of it. Depends on your plan, of course.
Oh, good point. So always worth checking what your insurance will actually cover.
For sure. Don't rule it out until you've made that call. Now, besides all that, another thing is the program's whole vibe, like their philosophy and approach.
See, this is where I get lost. Like, what does it even mean for a detox program to have a philosophy? It seems kind of deep when you're just trying to get help?
I know, right? But it can really make a difference. Some places are all about medication, managing those symptoms. Others are more holistic, like, yeah, you'll get meds, but they'll also do yoga, meditation, mindfulness stuff.
Huh. So it's about finding what clicks with you, not just checking boxes. But how do you even know what'll click if you've never done this before?
That's where research comes in. Read their website, talk to someone there if you can, ask about their approach, what the staff's like, what you can expect during and after detox.
Like the more info you've got, the better decisions you can make for yourself.
100%. And speaking of info, Rehab Near Me is big on this. Look at the aftercare support a program offers, because remember, detox is just step one.
Right, right. The whole jumping out of the burning building is great, but then what, you got to make sure you don't catch fire again.
Exactly. So aftercare, this could be connecting you with a therapist who specializes in addiction, maybe going to support groups, having a plan if you need to go to long-term rehab.
So it's like that ongoing support to really tackle the reasons behind the addiction, not just the physical stuff. Okay, you're sober, Ned, what?
Right. That now what is where the real journey starts, figuring out those whys and learning how to live without needing alcohol.
So we've talked about finding a program, but what about the actual detox part? What's that really like? Because rehab near dinner, they don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, it can be rough. And I think people have this idea, it's like, oh, a few days of feeling awful, then you're good. But it's not always like that.
Yeah, I used to think it was like a super intense hangover, but Rehab Near Me says the symptoms can actually hit way sooner than that.
Oh, yeah. For some people, it starts just hours after that last drink. We're talking anxiety,
Well,
sweating, shaky hands, not being able to sleep, those classic hangover things, but cranked up to 11,
ugh, and then it gets worse from there.
usually. As your body's processing the fact that there's no more alcohol coming in, you might get hit with nausea, vomiting, splitting headaches. Some people even have seizures. It's intense.
Okay, yeah, that's way more than just a hangover, so that's where medication comes in, right? But I feel like there's this misconception that taking meds during detox means it's easy. Like, pop a pill and sail through it. Not quite, huh?
If only. Look, medication is super important. It can manage those awful symptoms, but it doesn't magically erase the whole experience. Think of it like, I don't know, riding a roller coaster. Meds, they're like the safety harness. Keeps you from flying out, but you're still going to feel every twist and turn.
Okay, I like that analogy. So you're not just, like, numbed out. You still feel it, but it's more manageable. What kind of meds are we talking about typically? Rehab near? You mentioned a couple.
Right, so there's naltrexone. That one blocks the pleasurable effects of alcohol in the brain. Basically, it makes it harder to get that reward feeling so cravings are less intense.
Makes sense. And they also mentioned decamprosate. What's that one do?
So alcohol messes with your brain's chemical balance, right? A camprosate helps to kind of reset that, get those chemical messengers back to normal.
So it's like hitting the restore to factory settings button on your brain chemistry.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
in some cases, especially if there's a risk of seizures, they might use benzodiazepines, things like diazepam. They chill out the central nervous system, ease anxiety, make those severe symptoms less likely.
Interesting. So the type of medication, it all depends on the person and what they're going through. Because Rehab Near also pointed out that withdrawal, it's not one size fits all, is it?
Nope. Not at all. How much you drank, for how long, your overall health, even your genes, it all plays a role. Someone who is a heavy drinker for years is going to have a much different experience than someone who, say, went on a bender for a few weeks.
Right. And that's where those delirium tremens, the DTs, are more likely to pop up.
Yeah, unfortunately, DTs usually hit in those first few days of detox, and they're way more common in folks with a history of long-term heavy drinking.
And that's when it can get really dangerous, even life-threatening, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're talking extreme confusion, hallucinations, heart racing, fever. I remember we said even with medical help, there's that 1-5% fatality rate. That's how serious DTs are. It's your brain basically short-circuiting.
Okay, that is terrifying. And it really drives home why detoxing alone is just never the answer.
Remember, it's just not worth the risk.
Well, this has been incredibly eye-opening. We've covered why detox is so important, how to find the right program for you, and what to expect during the process itself. But I think the biggest takeaway, and something you've emphasized throughout, is that detox is just the beginning, right? It's step one in a much longer journey.
100%. You got to jump out of that burning building, but then the real work begins figuring out how to fireproof your life, so to speak, addressing those underlying reasons why alcohol took hold in the first place.
Exactly. And that looks different for everyone. Therapy, support groups, meds, lifestyle changes.
It's about finding what works for you. There's no single right answer. It's all about that individual path.
I love that. So for anyone listening who's struggling, just remember you're not alone and Recovery IS possible. This deep dive was just a starting point. RehabNear.me provided some great information, but your journey is yours to define. Don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. There are resources out there and you deserve support.